Welcome back to another episode of the Fabric of America podcast. I'm Melissa Otto from Demelis Atelier.
And I'm Matthew Banover from Bards. And with us, a special guest. Please introduce yourself for the lucky listener who gets to hear you.
Hi, this is Enzo Valentino, owner of Valentino Tailors.
And where are you located?
Yeah, we're located in New Haven, Connecticut.
Amazing.
Very cool. All right. So you have listened to the podcast before, so you know how this starts. We love to hear about your outfit. So we were just talking about your outfit a little bit. I didn't want to get into too much detail because I wanted everything. So tell us about what you're wearing, where the pieces came from, and does it mean anything to you?
Yes. So I'm wearing a shacket, which for those who don't know, it's a cross between a shirt and a jacket, hence the name. And this is from Gruppo Mattei, which is an Italian brand. We sell a lot of their shirts, and it's wool. It's like nice for like this time of year. And then I'm wearing a light blue chambray shirt with like blue flowers printed on top, and it's got like just that right amount of fading.
Yeah.
And that's from a company called And Sons. And then these chinos are from The Gap. They've got to be at least 10 years old. And
Love it.
Nice.
That's
they keep
sustainable
going.
fashion, people.
And I heard Matt wears a lot of fancy socks.
Oh, this guy. This
I
guy.
don't know, one day I wear just like
Yeah, boring.
Yeah, all right, I'll leave.
So my socks have, they're navy blue with tiny little bow ties and mustaches on them.
Yes.
And my shoes are, so this is a new, relatively new thing that we're doing. It's a made to order shoe. We partnered with a factory in Spain that it's so you can design the shoe. We have a design platform and little leather and suede swatches and different soles that you can put on them. So we they only do private label. So we came up with our own shoe brand called Grand New Haven. And
Oh my God, that's so cool.
Right? So yeah, and these are they need to be polished. But yeah, I that's just a testament to how much I wear them.
That's sharp. I love it.
Yeah, they're fun. Yeah.
Love all of that.
But
Looks great. Looks
Yeah,
great.
very
And I'm
smart.
assuming you can get 90% of this outfit at
Valentino Tailors. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
what I love. I actually have an And Sons shirt and I love it.
Yeah.
I the fit, it's a light denim also.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
the fit is fantastic. I've used it as samples for other places. I'm like, recreate this.
Make
fit.
this, yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
And it never quite hits the same, but something about how they do it is just
Yep.
a great.
So the owner, Patrick, I think worked for Levi's for years.
Oh, no kidding.
And then kind of spun off on his own, but super knowledgeable guy. I
Yeah.
think he's from Canada.
I was just going to say, do you know where they're based out of?
Pretty sure he's Canadian.
Canadian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Very
But,
cool.
Missing.
Yeah.
My turn?
Yes.
All right. So since Enzo was coming, I wanted to go with something on a medium tailoring kind of level. So this is a vintage Bill Blass dress that I actually got from Nostalgy, which I talked about on another episode. It was a vintage shop that was here in Connecticut in Deep River, and they're no longer in their brick and mortar, but they do go to Mongers Market.
Yeah.
Mongers Market.
Love that place.
Awesome.
Yeah, so they kind of show up there, but I had gotten this in the brick and mortar a couple of years ago. Bill Blass vintage. I just love that it has kind of this crazy like cuff situation that's got a fun button on it to keep it closed. It's this cool like houndstooth check. You know I love a houndstooth.
yeah,
I know you know that,
definitely.
Matt. That's my
Yeah.
pattern. Black and white is very much my thing. I'm wearing my Hawthorne watch. I actually had to switch out the face, my straps of the watch, because my other one with the black face, actually the battery died, and I haven't taken it to get a new battery yet. But I had another one with a brown strap and kind of a rose gold face. So these actually, and I made an Instagram video or a story about it. They have a really cool tab underneath where you just kind of flick the tab and they detach. So you can swap out the straps all the time. So that's what I did because I like to wear the black much more. Nice. And then I'm wearing a pair of just basic Louboutin pumps. They're kind of my nice shoes, my expansive shoes. So these I did buy brand new, but they have been a staple in the wardrobe for just a clean patent leather basic pump. and I love them. And my permanent jewelry, always on my
Yes, always on, always killing it. Love the outfit. Are you a watch guy?
Not really. I have like a few nice watches, but then I feel like I can't wear them because I'm always working and like I feel like it's gonna get like scratched and beat up and and then when I'm not working I have 2 young boys and we're always like doing like crazy stuff. So
I know when I got into this industry, I felt I gotta get a watch.
Get a nice watch.
So I went to Michael Kors at that time. With my $100, that was a nice watch. I went and I bought a watch. It's huge face. It's like gold and silver with a navy face. Love it. Works with every single outfit. I still have it. That thing hasn't worked in 8 or 9 years. It's dented. It's cracked. It's dirty.
See?
Every time I wear it, people are still like, wow, nice watch.
That's really funny. This is where I am going to really shamelessly plug Hawthorne. So real quick, and I think I talked about this, but I'm going to do a repeat. So Hawthorne is a company that was a guy I went to high school with. His grandfather was, I believe, a World War II vet. Don't totally quote me on that, but he's a war vet. And his grandson found like the schematics. He used to make watches when he came back from the war. Wow. And so they started up using those schematics. And there is something about the glass on this face. This is years old now. There is not a scratch on the glass. So the leather's worn down, but you can shine it. And I can always just they sell the straps independently too. Yeah. So you can get other straps. But I mean, you can see like, people have like designer like Yerman watches that are more scratched than this thing.
Yeah, so that's gorgeous. That's
I'm going to plug it for quality big time. So
I feel like I gotta get one.
And watches are basically decoration. They're jewelry at this point because everybody has, their
Apple
phone
Watch or
their
something, their phone.
Yeah. So
definitely. What's his name? Mr. Wonderful has like a viral video where he's talking about he's like shaming somebody for wearing an Apple Watch, and he's just like, my watch, it's a testament to the craft and all this. He's like, I can't tell the time, but
that's hilarious.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, but it's awesome. It's one of those $200,000 like aviation watches or something like that.
Okay.
He's bragging about it. And I commented and I was like, you need to get yourself some better suits.
I think that's why none of the other sharks like him.
Yeah.
On the show.
Oh yeah. He's the worst. I was listening to, hey, let me get to my outfit.
Do your outfit.
Yeah, exactly. So similar to you, because we had Enzo coming, I was like, I need to dress up. I need to look like an adult because
and you did.
For once in your life.
Yeah, exactly. Let me take the training wheels off and really go for it. So this suit, many people assume just because I'm a custom clothier, I've got, racks on racks of suits. I have 4 suits, and this is one of them. I have like a brown, I have another green, and I can't remember what the other one is, but I need something normal. But this suit, it's like a heather green with a brown pinstripe. It is the #1 suit I get compliments on everywhere I go. I cannot wear it without people stopping me. Even if I just go with like the pants or something, it's just an easy win every time. So when I'm feeling like, okay, I need a little extra pep in my step, I'll put this on. People are like, look at you go, catcalling me. No one does that. But I'm like, I feel awesome.
Amazing.
This tie is from Mountain and Sackett. Have you heard of them?
I have not.
Yep. Handmade in the USA.
Wow.
I think they're made in Colorado, actually.
Oh, cool.
So when I got started, I was thinking, do I need ties? Do I need shirts? Do I need this? So I reached out to them and I talked about doing a private label tie brand. It was 2020 back then. I was like, who knows if anybody's going back to the office.
Right.
So I decided not to, but I got a couple ties for myself. I also have 4 or 5 ties. That's it. And I just rotate through those
That's
few.
Great, though.
I'm just like, whittle it down. They mean something. Most of them are made in America. If not, they're bought at a small business. And then my shirt, before I started Bards, I didn't own any white shirts. I was like, I can't justify spending the money on a white shirt. It's just a white shirt. And then I was like, I feel like I should have one. So I made myself one. Now I have like 6. I was like, they're so versatile.
Yeah.
It's just so like easy. And the cufflinks actually. So I am a massive Batman fan. And the Robert Pattinson movie that came out, there's a part where he's missing his cufflinks, and Andy Serkis, who plays Alfred, was like, here, let me give you my cufflinks. And he looks at them, and they're these cufflinks.
No way.
So ex-girlfriend actually
that's
gave
cool.
these to me, and I wear them all the time. And it was funny because
That was the first thing I noticed, actually. Was,
Yeah.
Like, I noticed the color of your suit, and then I noticed the cufflinks.
yeah, so
She was
they're
your Alfred.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, these I love these. And it was funny because recently the dry cleaner I use, French Cleaners in West Hartford, they were like, Matt, we lost one of your cufflinks. I'm so sorry. I was like, oh gosh, what does it look like? And they were like, well, it's got an M on it. And I was like, yeah, that's an M, not W for Master Wayne. I had the other one at my house. And then my shoes are Magnani. They're the most comfortable shoes I've ever owned in my life. I think I've had them for 8 years. Bought them, put them on, have not stopped wearing them. Took 30 minutes to break them in. Nice. Unbelievable. Expensive, but
awesome.
Handmade in Spain.
Yeah.
Spanish leather hits different, man.
Oh, it is.
Tell you.
Truly so
That's the
comfortable.
place.
Yeah. So, enough about us. Good sir. Thank you so
Oh
much.
my gosh.
Thank you so
I'm in
much.
the
Yeah,
hot
you thought
seat.
that was going to be the whole thing? Get off easy?
We're done. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So, we don't come into this with too many questions, but just general like knowledge. How did you get into the tailoring? Like, do you have family members? Are you a tailor? Are you a designer? Can you make stuff? Like, where did it start and what's your capacity now?
Yeah, it's good question. So it's a family business. My grandfather was a tailor in Italy. My father learned like as a young boy, because like that's what you did. And my father came to America in, I don't know, maybe mid-20s. He worked in a few places in New Haven, and then finally got enough, courage and language skills under his belt to open his own shop in Hamden. And and then I grew up in the shop because it's what we call Italian daycare. I would literally walk home from school and sit in the shop and do my homework and help out, however I could help out. Yeah, I didn't like it at the time.
Yeah.
In fact, I went to UConn. I have a management degree, and I wanted to like go out into the world, and I did. I did construction management for about 10 years before figuring, if I'm going to work this hard for this many hours a day.
It's amazing.
I also realized I like to do stuff with my hands instead of like, just communicating about stuff. So
Right.
I came back into the business, and I enjoy it. It's rewarding. There's a nice mix of working with people and working with your hands. And so your
dad was running his own tailor shop. You went off and then came back to work for your dad?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah. And in fact, my parents still work.
Oh.
My father is now 84. My mom is 81. And they still like to come in the shop
It keeps
every
you going,
day.
though. There's something to be said for it.
Yeah.
Yep,
That's
absolutely. Yeah. So
And what, at that time, what were there any plans for big picture? Was it like, let's be a big tailor shop, let's scale this to a store? Like, when you came back, what did that look like?
it looked like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. I knew a little
Classic.
bit. I knew a little bit,
Yeah.
but I knew I needed to learn a lot.
Yeah.
So I like one of my plans was not to make any changes for, until I really felt confident and
get a grip
had
on
a
the
lot
business.
more.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's what I did. I kind of just like laid low and learned, and eventually, customers would always come in and either ask for my mom or ask for my dad.
Yeah.
And then, pretty soon customers would come in and ask for me. And like, it's like it's a journey, but I still, and I think being the underdog and feeling like, oh, I'm not as good as the other people. I need to work harder and learn more. I think that served me well.
Yeah.
So I try to like somehow keep feeling that way. So
That's
Stay humble, right?
Yeah.
By your elders, kind of, by people who have more experience than you.
And there's so much to learn and
in
keep
this
learning.
business, it's not black and white. It's like
Right.
you might do an alteration on one person, but it's not going to be the same alteration on another person.
That's right.
So that's what I love about what we do is that there's 1,000 different ways to get to the same answer.
Yep.
And there's no exact playbook. There's certainly some right and wrong.
Yeah.
But there are definitely some finessed ways and means and all kinds of roads, like you said, to get to the end product.
Yeah, and I remember when I think I talked about this on an earlier episode, when I went from Joseph A. Bank to working at a boutique store. It was when I first started working there, and I was still wearing a bunch of Joseph A. Bank suits, and this guy walks into the store, and I started to pitch him on custom clothing, and he basically just stopped me in my tracks and was like, listen, you don't know what you're talking about. Look at what you're wearing. And I was like aghast that he was so right. And I was just like, oh, I need to perpetually learn and be in the learning. See, this isn't like selling cars where I just master the brochure. This is a whole different like lifestyle. I need to know how these people think, how they talk, what they value. And that's going to change every single time. So I think putting yourself in that position of ever the student is brilliant. And it makes the store that you have now, it's like a living organism. It's constantly moving and evolving and adapting, just like people's personal styles.
Yep. That's right. And kind of like your, I listened to your way that you like to learn about each client, learn about the event they're dressing for. I have a kind of similar philosophy where I try to like wipe my opinions clean, because everybody that comes in has their own personal style and they expect something different. And, I try not to like put my opinion on them. If they ask my opinion, I'll like say, hey, this is how long I like to wear my pants. Yeah. This is how slim I like my pants to be.
Very similar in the bridal wedding industry. Yeah. Same thing. Because we'll get dresses, same thing that maybe I'm not attracted to. Yeah. But you can see where it's meaningful to the client, and it's an extension of their personality.
Yeah. Do you, in the bridal, that's interesting. When brides come out, do they ask you, well, I don't know, what's normal? Like we get that all the time. Like, well, where should I wear my pants? Like, are there alterations that are normal in bridal, or is there a look that's normal?
The alterations part is kind of a standard, right? Because you guys know, like good fit, like, yes, you can go, I'm thinking like a jacket, right? You can go tighter, you can go looser. Like I get it that there's a little bit of a different aesthetic and some leeway there. From my side of the street, it's more like, if you have a strapless dress, I better snip in that waist or it's going to fall down. Like there's some mechanics to it as well. But where we get asked about, like, let's say our opinions or like what do people like to do, is a lot of times on customized pieces. So let's say we're making like a little glove or like a little swag sleeve. So people will ask, well, how far do people like to wear it? Too far down, higher up? We talk about the mechanics of like, now you have restricted movement. So there's some technical and some aesthetical pieces to it in the bridal industry. But yeah, it's definitely.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we get it all the time. Well, where should I wear my pants?
Yeah.
And I always tell them, wherever you're going to wear them, because there's no use for me to alter it to a place you're not going to wear it.
Right. You're going to fuss with it.
Yeah, because then you're going to wear it all high. Or, you're going to put it high, I'm going to measure it, and then you're going to wear it low.
5 minutes later, they slide down.
They drop down.
Put it low, and I'll measure it there.
Start it there.
Like, just wear it how you're going to naturally wear it. And like, that's where you start to learn, like, okay, well, if he is going to wear it low, I better shorten the rise and take in the seat a little bit. Like, there's all those kind of back of the mind concepts.
And sometimes you have to have those conversations in the beginning, like, some people wear the front of their waistband low under their belly. Yeah. And then the back has to stay high to kind of engage the hips. And the pants look like they're a mess. Yeah. And but some guys, like, that's where they're going to wear their pants. Yeah. And so that's where you have to do them. Yeah. And then, but there's an alternative where you go looser and you wear them higher on your belly and they kind of float, maybe with suspenders. Yeah. And then the pants just drape well. Yeah. But a lot of guys are not open to the idea of wearing suspenders.
Yeah.
Because it looks different, it feels different, but you got to give them the option.
Yeah, definitely. I have, every day I make the decision over or underbelly. and it's,
We just don't know which way it's going to go.
Exactly. It usually depends on dinner last night.
Fair enough.
And
Fair enough.
No, but it really is a big thing. And it does totally affect how the pant hangs, and it affects how I feel in the pant. Like for most of my suits, I actually go over my stomach. I'm like, I really want the whole look from top to bottom, from ankle to neck, to be one cohesive. But if I'm wearing jeans, that's going low, tight, you know. But so to get back to you, not about my belly. So you're in a tailor shop, you and your parents, you and your dad, or you and your parents?
Both. Yeah. My mom as well. Yeah.
Mom and dad and you. Siblings in the shop?
I have a sister. She never wanted to be involved. And I remember the moment as children, she was sewing and she put her fingernail under, the needle went right through her fingernail. Ooh, and then to make it worse, she screamed like in terror, but she ripped her.
Oh God. Yeah. Yanked her hand out.
Right out the, God. Right out the front. So
right,
I remember that. Yeah.
I feel ill.
Yeah. So I think that pretty much
that was it.
Shaped the rest of her life. Yeah. But she did not want to do tailors the rest of her life.
Gosh.
Understood.
But she loves to come in and she loves to chat with the customers, and she'll help out as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, she has her own career. She works at Quinnipiac University. But yeah, she's great. Yeah.
That's awesome. So how long is it a tailor shop? When do you start selling product, and whose idea is that?
So, well, my father always sold like suits and like just like tailored, like, like formal wear, shirts, suits, ties, sport jackets. But, you know, as the world has started changing and business casual is so big now, we've started doing a lot more of that. And we're really leaning into the whole comfort thing. Like, we have a lot of chinos that have a lot of soft stretch to them. And even men's like button down shirts. We've started selling, it's like made out of like cotton jersey. So it looks like a dress shirt, but it feels like a t-shirt. And like, I think there's a lot of guys that don't even know they exist yet, because if they did, they would only wear those. So, so, but when, I don't know, I think it just makes sense to, well, it doesn't make sense. We thought it would maybe be an easy way to like make bigger margins if we could sell people clothing and alter it for them. So, but it's like a whole nother business. Managing inventory, finding and selecting which vendors you're going to buy from, and trying to create that right mix of stuff that people need and want at the right price. Because that's the other thing. Like there's so many different categories that you can easily fall into, and and
we talked about going to markets in episode 4 or something,
shows and stuff,
and what that's like, and making those decisions, and how difficult it is to navigate your interests as a buyer versus the customer's interest. I remember, you're familiar with Robert Graham?
Yes.
Yeah. Those shirts are loud, crazy. They're casino shirts.
Okay.
They're $350 shirts, but they have some signature shirts that are like $600, $700, $800. And every now and then at the boutique I worked at, we're like, let's just get a large in the shirt. And within hours of it being in the window, it was sold.
Wow.
And so we're constantly fighting correlation versus causation. Is our customer getting more elevated, or was it just that specific piece?
Right. And also, how many could you sell? What's the depth and breadth of what your buy is?
Was it the exclusivity that there was one in the window? If we had a whole rack of them, would we be sitting on that
People
inventory?
sit there and go, you're crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So and it never, every season, it's just as difficult as the season before. It's, you kind of feel, but you're always like, oh my God, I don't know.
I know. When you go to like buy stuff for the store, do you ever feel a little like edgy nervous? Like, does that ever, do you feel like fully confident, or do you feel like, oh God,
Who does
I hope
the
that's the right move?
I do. I usually go, sometimes my wife will come with me and
You do 100% of the buying.
pretty much. The guys in the shop though, will like do reorders or special orders for customers.
Yeah.
Cause now there's so many, like the easy ordering platforms is so nice. You can see the inventory, new order. But yeah, like going in and picking stuff. Yeah. I need to be better organized. I need to plan my buy better because like last season I overbought chinos because I bought from 2 different vendors and I totally forgot. Because sometimes they'll come to the shop and like, because they're usually like in the New York, New Jersey area.
Yeah.
So they'll drive up and, spend a few hours in the shop. And then I'll go to the show or talk to another guy and just totally forgot that I bought something 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And this is like 6 to 8 months ahead.
Right.
So so much.
And then the 2 boxes come and you're like, what's all this?
What am I going to do with these?
1,000 Cheetos.
There's a lot of Cheetos.
So, you saw the table.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like a lot
The
of
entire
Cheetos.
pool table.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
So So you're working for your parents, selling. Your dad opened the shop originally to sell retail.
So he started as a custom tailor, and in Italy, there were no like suit stores. He's from a little agricultural town in southern Italy, kind of near the Naples area, and a lot of guys, like, you buy a suit to get married in and get buried in.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of fabric in the margins, like in the seam allowance, so it could be let out. They were made of like durable cloth because it had to last a long time. And a lot of times my grandfather would get paid in like eggs and flour and chickens and
you barter.
Like, exactly, because that's what people had. So, but yeah, then he came and worked in a factory in New Haven and would make suits for like presidents of the United States, and the type of people that were in New Haven were like at Yale.
Can we just? That was the coolest.
Yeah, that was the most casual drop.
Just
made suits for presidents.
In New Haven.
Yeah,
like that was the coolest.
Isn't it crazy? Like
quite the segue.
Oh,
yeah.
Can we go
That's
back
really
to that
cool,
time?
though. Yeah.
But like Lyndon Johnson or like people like that.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So but the cooler thing is like the people that are at Yale now are the future of those people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like the Clintons came through New Haven, and who else? Anyway.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
All right. So you're in Hamden until when?
Oh, the Bushes too. The Bushes
Oh,
came
cool.
to New Haven.
Yeah, because he went to Yale.
Yeah.
Yep. Funny story. My dad and George Bush are in the same class.
Oh, wow.
No way.
Yeah. And George Bush, when he was president, had their like 50th reunion or 40th reunion or something at the White House. And my dad
got to go. No way.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You guys with the casual drops here.
I know,
like,
right?
this is nuts.
We just hang with presidents. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, literally.
That is New Haven. There's a lot of rich history there with like Yale. I mean, deep ties to like political families.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So you're in Hamden until when?
2 years ago.
What?
Literally this September, mid-September, we moved to New Haven. I had been looking for years.
Yeah.
And I was starting to feel bad because I would like see a property or see a sign, and I would call my agent and say, hey, can you make an appointment? I really want to go see this this property, and for one reason or another, it didn't work out.
Yep.
You know, there wasn't parking, or the location, or it wasn't enough square footage, or and then during COVID, it wasn't even on the market. He was talking to the seller for another property, and he looked at the building. He's like, you know, this is exactly what Enzo tells me that he wants. So he calls me, we go look at it, and I'm like, oh my God, like this like checks
Everything
all
came
the
together.
boxes. But it's like, it's the middle of COVID. Like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Like, the world is ending.
Yeah.
And then I said to myself, all right, if the world ends, like, it's not going to matter anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love that.
And if it doesn't, it'll be fine, and we'll keep going. So, and it worked out. The world didn't end.
That's amazing.
That's
And
awesome.
we got some good grant money from the city of New Haven, and we really got some good advice, and it just kind of
It all came together.
it just came together, literally. Yeah.
How did you know it was time to grow? Like, had you been feeling that for a long, long time and just were kind of chomping at the bit waiting, or?
I really had. There's always more work than there is people or time to do it.
Okay. Good problems.
Yeah, if you're looking out into the future, like you have the people that like wedding gowns, women buy their
Relate
dress a year
so
ahead of time.
deeply
right?
to this conversation.
A year ahead of
Yeah.
time. And then you have the people that are like, you know, my wedding is next week and I needed my dress altered. I'm like, oh my God. Like, so if I had 100 people sitting back there, you know, I could probably
could
keep them
occupy
busy.
them.
I could advertise like same day alterations, and I'm sure, you know, but there's a limit, you know, and most days I find that limit physically or mentally, so, or both.
Usually when I walk in, that's it. I've hit my limit.
I quit. I'm out.
That's it. I'm done.
You're easy. You're easy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I always wanted to, you know, do more, and it was getting hard. We couldn't fit any more employees in the old shop.
Yeah. So what's the staff look like at that point? And also who owns it at that point when you're moving 2 years?
So my a few years after getting into the business, my parents like officially retired.
Wow.
And I kind of officially took over. And you know, at that point, I don't think you've ever seen the old shop. It was like, it was really humble, and it was, it had wood paneled walls, but not like the nice kind of wood paneled walls, like in a men's club house.
Yeah.
It was like the kind that you like do the walls in your basement with.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that, you know,
exactly
Thin
what I was
little
envisioning.
board,
thin
the
little
teeny little
1/8 inch,
nails.
like,
yeah.
Yes, yeah, and it had this flagstone floor, which was like, it was beautiful. That thing shined up, and like it was literally 60 or 70 years old and looked beautiful. But yeah, and it was a bunch of old Singer, like those 3515s, like that look like this, just a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
And like
So cool.
Yeah, in fact, we still have some of those.
Yeah.
Like you cannot
amazing.
kill those machines.
Yeah.
Nope.
As long as you just like, you know, put a little oil in
Little
every
grease
few
on 'em,
years.
yep.
Yeah. They just keep going. Yeah. And so I always wanted to like grow and do more. And we always had a like maybe 2 or 3 employees in addition to my parents. And yeah, and now I think we have 1, 2, 4, 7, 8,
Wow.
8 or 9. It depends. So my parents are really volunteers. They just kind of, and you know, they'll come in a little late, leave a little early, but they're there almost every day.
Wow.
Wild.
Yep.
Eight,
So cool.
8 tailors or 8 salespeople or 8 staff total?
Staff total. Yeah.
Awesome.
I have 3 guys who take care of customers and keep the work like flowing through the various stations that it has to go through. And, you know, then collate it and rack it. And then I have Justin, who's been with me now for probably, I think 8 years, and he's now doing a lot of fittings
Nice.
Yeah.
with customers and selling. Yeah, it's a journey. Yeah. And I've been really fortunate to have good employees. Yeah.
Yeah.
Becomes like second family,
It does.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
especially when people are invested in both
Yes.
you guys as the owners and the family people behind it, but then the customers as well. Because it sounds like you probably get a good chunk of repeat customers too, who have like
Yeah.
some loyalty, you know?
Yes,
And I think it's important when they see those same faces.
yeah. And multi-generational
Yep.
customers. And it's an honor. Like,
Those are always
Yeah.
the cool
Yeah.
ones. Yeah.
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 I really wanted to know about kind of two facets. Like one being, how has business changed for you in terms of like the product and what you're selling and what you're actively doing from when you were there and it was your parents' shop or even your grandparents, like to now? And also, how has the employee, and where I'm going with this is the sewing spectrum, how has that changed and evolved over the generations as you've seen it?
I used to sew every day. I used to like sit at a sewing machine and, now I don't even have a sewing machine like with my name on it. Like,
Yeah.
if I need to sew, instead of I have to like either wait till somebody goes home or like ask somebody, hey, can I borrow your machine? Because I don't sew at all, and I'll cut and mark, but that's a function of like I've been trying to like step back and work on the business instead of in it, but it's so hard. I don't spend enough time working on my business, but I'm trying to like find somebody else, hire someone to do all the things that I do so that I can focus on bigger picture items.
I feel like that's every small business owner ever.
My God.
That
And there's
literally
never,
middle person.
yeah, there's
But I
never
love the
enough
way you
time.
phrased it, on my business versus in my business.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
that's
so hard.
true.
But and the best way to do it is I just find people that are better than me at that thing,
Yep.
Yeah.
and then step back and trust them
Hand
to
over
do
the
it.
reins. Yep.
Yeah. But I still do a lot of fittings, and I do some cutting and marking for like the more like the stuff that's like harder to communicate to somebody else. That like I know kind of how
just get it. Yep.
Yeah, because sometimes
Yep.
you have to like have your own hands on it, and I'm trying to like find ways to even eliminate that through better communication and better like methods. So, but yeah, it's just a constant journey of growing and trying and doing. Yeah, but it looks different. It does look a lot different. That I'm literally trying to do less and step back more.
Yeah.
But it's important to try stuff and even when you're doing fittings, if you don't know how the alteration is going to get done, it's a lot harder.
Yeah.
And it's more efficient and everything is better. Like if you can know all the facets.
Yeah. That's really where I started to excel, is even at Joseph A. Bank, I would go in and sit with my tailor and she would show me like, you marked this to do, I know what you wanted, but this wasn't right. This is how we're going to do it. Like that.
There's something to the instinct behind someone who sews. I'm going to say that.
Yeah.
As someone who's in it, we've talked about it amongst my staff that yes, you have to be able to read and interpret people. So like I know what I mean sometimes, and sometimes I have to be like, hey, I pinned it this way because I was going to maybe take this dress, but now that it's in your station, here's what I meant by that. But we've had some people who have come in and have tested with us as employees who don't have great sewing instincts. And sometimes you can learn it, and sometimes it's just a matter of time, but sometimes we don't have time.
Yeah.
So things don't work out. So it's an interesting line you have to kind of straddle.
Yeah, it definitely is. I wanted to pivot a bit. What has been in the spirit of this podcast, the fabric of America, like interconnected, what keeps us all woven together? What's been your outlook on being a small business owner? Like, where do you see yourself in the community? Where do you see yourself in the community at large, meaning fashion? Like, how does that all interconnect in your mind, and how that's been and changed being in a generational business?
Interesting. So there's not a lot of people out there doing alterations anymore. And sometimes,
Can you repeat that?
I want to take out a billboard, and I see you do it a lot on your videos. People don't know. They will buy something and walk in and think you can do it for tomorrow. And
why are you looking directly at me?
Oh God, you're banned from his store forever.
Yeah.
But they don't realize there's way more people that want to wear clothes and need them altered than there are people to alter them. Yeah. And they ask me, what do you mean you don't have enough time? Like, I've already promised all the time that we have to the other customers who already came in. And those projects have deadlines that they have to be done so they can be picked up. And I'm sorry, I can't do any more.
Can't be done.
Yeah.
I don't want to say no. I don't make
Can't
money.
get blood from a stone, my friends.
I don't make as much money. If I just keep saying yes and could get it all done, I'd be like making money like 24 hours a day. And there's a limit.
You'd also be working 24 hours a day.
Exactly. Yeah. And you can't. There's a limit to like that burnout stage. Yeah. And I could see it in my employees too. Like they'll like do what we ask, but I could see like the burden in their eyes and in their faces. So I try to like back off of that point as much as possible, which as a business owner too, like you're thinking, okay, I do want to make the most amount of money, but when the quality starts to suffer and your employees start to suffer and like your own personal health starts to suffer, you have to learn how to say
There's a limit. There's a limit. I say that all the time with the bridal alterations too, because it's such a finite thing that requires a lot of attention. And there's some stuff you just can't rush. Yeah. There's corners that you just can't cut. Or if you do, you're really janky, right? Yep. So I would rather have fewer customers and turn out the best possible end product than take on everybody.
That's where I'm at with my business. I'm like, I only want to work with high-end products because I want the customer to understand we're taking our time. You're not microwaving Wagyu beef. I try to excellent. I try to have these discussions with people where I'm like, there needs to be time in this. Slow it down. And I also talk a lot with customers about how tailors do everything based on minutes. And it's like it takes a certain amount of minutes to do a job. So if you think all these minutes based on all these products, that's how things get booked up. It's not just ease of job. Right. It's actual time
put into it.
Hours sitting on a machine. Like that concept is just lost on people today.
And also some garments are constructed differently and take longer because like you have to pick the stitches out differently and it just takes a lot longer or you have to sew it back a certain way or you have to take more of it apart. And like, it's hard to just predict that. So some jobs take longer than you think they're going to go. Some jobs do take less time than you think, but usually not, right? Yeah. Usually they take longer. But where I was going with that is I feel the burden. Like if I don't say yes to this person, there's nobody else. Like where are they going to go?
God, I feel that so
where
deeply.
Are they going to go?
Yes. If I don't help you in this emergency, you're screwed.
Yeah.
I can't even send you somewhere.
Right. There's so few places that you could send any, and those people are busy too. So that's how I view myself. Like, oh my God, I need to get this done for this person. What am I going to do? How am I going to get it done? But
that's so interesting. And one of the reasons I asked this question is because there's certain businesses, you think of them as like mom and pop shops, small businesses. I don't think of your business like that. I think of it as like an establishment. Like you are like a hospital, like you're doing a service. And when I walk in there, it's just everything is so clean. Everything is so organized. The way your staff talks to each other. I've worked in boutique stores. I did not have that same level of professionalism dealing with customers. Like they will call each other over and be like, hey, question this alteration. And they'll everything is marked out specifically. Whereas I was just like, you know,
Hey.
what do you got on you? You know, it was very different back then. But, you know, the reason I wanted to know, like, where you see yourself in the community is because, like, where did this sense of finite training for your staff come from? Did you look at other stores and say, hey, I don't want to be them. I do want to be this. That's something that you got from your dad or your mom with tailoring, with precision. Like, where it's your store is very unique. And we've talked about this, that I go and see stores all the time, and yours is just stands out. It's like brilliant. And I don't think of it as a small business. It's a well-oiled machine.
Thank you. You don't know. Well, see, the part you don't know.
You're like,
Yeah.
you haven't seen what goes on in the
Yeah,
background.
you know, like, and maybe we're just like, we're like ducks. We're like on the surface.
Yeah.
Everybody
Yeah.
looks calm.
And
And, like below the surface, we're paddling like crazy. But I also know where all the mistakes and the problems are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they,
Hard to see the forest through the trees, right? When you're in it.
Yeah. So we're constantly like, you know, having little meetings in the shop. Like, hey, this went wrong yesterday. Let's keep an eye on that. So, or let's do it this way so that we can prevent that from happening again in the future. And yeah, it's, you know, I think a lot of that comes from my construction management background. I work for this really great company, very organized, and you know, I can still walk into a room and see like where the painter needs to come back and touch up a spot that he missed, and where like a little piece of the flooring went bad and I have to like call the flooring subcontractor and get him back out.
Yeah.
You know, cause like that was like an important part of the job. And like you have to see that stuff before your customer sees it. And that's what I tell my employees, like, you know, this is obvious. You need to see this and fix it, or bring it to the person who could fix it before it gets wrecked.
Yeah.
So we're constantly striving to do that kind of stuff. And sometimes I wish I could make everyone else see like the way that I see stuff.
Yeah.
I only see problems.
That's why you're the business owner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
And
have
my
a
wife,
special knack.
my wife will say, well, you know, how come you only say like the bad stuff? Like that, like, yeah, because like that's I don't know.
That's what you see.
Because I'm here to fix
You're
those
constantly
things.
striving
right?
for better.
Yeah,
right?
I'm here to fix those things. And,
Yeah.
yeah. Everybody, like anybody could see when something looks nice.
Yeah.
But
It sounds like you also treat your business, which is still at the end of the day a small business, air quotes on that. But I've had to get more into this realm too, especially now having employees, where you don't treat it like a small business.
Yeah.
So for the first few years of having employees, I was like, I don't need to have like rules, and I don't need to have like reviews. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a cool mom. Like,
Yeah,
I'm not,
exactly.
I don't want to do that. Like, it seems so like corporate and kind of stuffy to me. But eventually, both my employees were like, I would love a review,
Yeah.
like a check-in, tell me how we're doing, tell me where we're going, tell me what your vision is for the business. Like, they wanted that from me. And it has been a game changer to actually have like dialoguing back and forth. They have some great ideas too, like great things to bring up. Like, you know, I didn't say anything, but this drove me nuts, and I think we could improve it by doing da-da-da-da. Like, sometimes I'm so wrapped in the business, and I'm sure you feel this way too, that you can't see everything else because you're focused on A, B, C, and D, or like I'm the fitter and the client facer, and I don't always know what's going on necessarily back in at the sewing stations until I get back there, which could be days away and things like that. So I think, you know, it sounds like you, by having these like morning touch bases or these meetings, I'm sure you do reviews with your staff as well, that like you treat it like it's a big business. And then I think it enhances your overall standing in the community for being a small business and a legacy business.
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. We're all just like little small businesses pretending, you know, that we're bigger businesses, you know? And I think that's the right way to think about it. And we're constantly trying to improve. Like when I started, my parents had little like professionally printed, but they were carbon paper
tickets. Hell yeah.
There was a white one and a yellow one.
I still have carbon tickets.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll never get rid of them.
Yeah, but also you probably have a lot less wedding gowns.
Probably, yes.
We have
then all that clothing. You probably have a stack.
So now
we
have a POS system. Like it prints out one big ticket and then little yellow tickets, kind of like at the dry cleaner, where each garment has like the ticket number, the customer's name, the date it has to be ready, and then each job that has to be done to that garment. And then at the end, they all have to get recollated. And nobody ever remembers to bring their ticket in with them.
Yep.
So before, we had to look through the whole rack to find their garments. Now we can just go to the computer and look at all the tickets that are, under that person's name. So you have to we're constantly learning and trying and adopting new things that work better. Mm-hmm. And I think we need more of that where we can collaborate, because there's so few of us. Like it's competition, but it's not competition because there's more work than there are us. So we can all learn from each other. And that's the other problem with tailoring is I didn't go to tailoring school. I know what I learned.
What tailoring school? Where is this tailoring school?
Right. Yeah. We need, but I think people that go to FIT, they want to be designers, and the world needs designers, but there's not enough boots on the ground of people that are sewing and altering.
I say that all the time. I don't know if this is true or not, but I had heard. Probably not, but I had heard, just to give an example of, people talk about creative directors, right? People who run fashion houses, who have beautiful design ideas, these extravagant, super creative things, but maybe they don't sew. And if you are not one with your atelier, you can't put out a great product. Yeah. So I have I really love the Valentino brand, for example. And I was always so entranced by the fact that they would bring out all of the sewists at the end of the runway. Mm-hmm. And that was so cool. Okay, we're acknowledging the people who are actually putting the stuff together. You can have a brilliant idea, but if someone can't execute it, you have nothing. And I talk about FIT all the time. So where I was going with this is I heard that Parsons doesn't make you sew a lot. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's true. I'm sorry, Parsons, if it's untrue. But one of the things I loved about FIT was you were getting the full gamut of an education in draping, in pattern making, in sewing. And that was for me. But the big miss for me was no one said, here are all the different types of jobs you could have. Mm-hmm. You could be an alteration specialist. You could work in bridal. You could work in just tailoring. You could do all these things. It was always you're going to be probably a designer driven or work for a company doing a lot of CAD designing, things like that. So it wasn't shown to me. Right. I mean, I literally had to find it for myself and sort of fall into it for it to become my normal. And then I realized I have a skill that people want. Yeah. That people need. Yeah. That was cool.
Yeah. But, I mean, it really is.
To your
insane.
Point, there's not enough of us. So how do we get that? How do we get the children?
Exactly.
I just want the children to come and sew with us. My kids are going to be sewing. That's it. Yes. I've already decided their future. You want to be a doctor? I don't think so.
Yeah, exactly.
Get on the machine.
Yeah. But mommy, I'm tired.
I need your little fingers.
Yeah. So where do you see next 10 years, 20 years? What's it look like?
Yeah. So, one of the big reasons that I wanted to grow the shop into a bigger business is, so I have two boys, they're 9 and 11. And I figured, in about, 5 or 10 years, they're going to be teenagers, maybe thinking about what they might want to do. And the business would have to be so cool that maybe they would consider it. Yeah. Right. And they're at an age now where they don't really care that much about clothes. Yep. They both wear exclusively. They only wear basketball shorts, elastic waist gym shorts, and t-shirts. That's all they want to wear. So they don't care about clothes yet. But I think that'll change. Yeah. In a few more years, they'll start caring more about clothes. And if my business is cool enough, they might say, yeah, I think I might want to do that. Yeah. And there's enough facets of the business where even if they don't want to sew, they can sell, or they can do made to measure, or they can, there's so many different things that we do, and they can hire people that can focus on the other stuff. And if neither of them want to do the business, it has to be so cool that I could sell it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's like, I'm 50 now, and in 15 years, like I'll be 65. I don't know if I'll be able to afford to retire. No,
Yeah.
we don't know. So, but it's also the kind of business where, maybe I'll work till I'm, in
maybe
my
you'll
80s.
be in it like your parents.
Yeah,
Yep.
you never know. So, but we try to create a cool place to work that like has a nice vibe that you don't mind going to every day.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my strategy for the next 15 years.
Awesome.
I love it.
Yeah.
What would you say is your why? Like, what gets you out of bed? What keeps you going? When you walk in?
Wow, I was literally thinking this. I'm sorry, you totally stole my my non-gusto because I didn't say anything. But.
When you talk about walking into a shop, all you see is problems. What's your why that keeps you going? Like that wants to solve these problems, that wants to make like.
And how do you keep the vibes good?
Yeah.
The vibes are obviously good, like for it to be a fun, cool environment for your employees and your customers.
We serve coffee, espresso.
Solves all problems.
We have a mini bar. So sometimes like, you got to take the edge off. Especially the ladies, like they get a little anxious, But
I love it.
No, seriously. I don't know. I like to fix things. And like, even when I'm at home, I'm like always like fixing something that's broken. And part of that is because, I have 2 kids and a dog that they like.
So everything is
everything's broken constantly. So, but I don't know why. Yeah. I think, I don't know. I feel, I really feel, like there's a calling.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It comes from within you, right? It's like you kind of can't explain it.
And I didn't realize it until I tried to get away from it. And then I was drawn back.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't remember if I told this story. I feel like it did come up at one point, but we were talking about one of my gals, Sarah. She was like really having like a come to Jesus, like serious talk with me. And she was like, like I know sometimes it's hard for you and like you get, money can get tight or whatever. Like I'm not making millions here. Like, but we make enough to keep the business going and pay the employees and take a vacation and like, that's it. Yeah. And she's like, so why do you do it? And I like knee jerk was like, cause I love it. I like, fucking love it. Like I can't see myself doing anything else. I don't want to work for corporate America. I don't want it. Like, I actually love this. Even on the days I don't love it, I'm like, God, I need a break. I would never not do it.
Yeah.
Like that, it's just, it's in you.
Yeah, we don't do it for the money. Like, there's so many other ways
make $1 million
to make money.
doing something else.
Yeah.
I think, to if I may, after hearing you talk for this amount of time, what I thought was so striking was when you went back after construction and you took that position of learning, how is this all going to work? That's something that's been threaded through your story, is being in a position of, how do I make this better? How do I learn? These things are broken. How do I put the right people in the right places? Your world is almost like a sewing machine. Okay, it needs more grease. I got to swap out the thread. You're in this constant position of like, I'm working on problems, but problems that have solutions. And if they don't, I can creatively find a way to enhance it. Just like a pair of pants. A pair of pants is supposed to serve a purpose. Business is supposed to serve a purpose. Your life is supposed to serve a purpose. But there might be issues. It needs to take in the sides. I need to shorten it. You're going into every day with, okay, I've got this knowledge, but I know that there are more answers out there. And I think that that's a really beautiful way to go about this. You're not like, yeah, I'm a master tailor and blah, blah, blah. Like, you haven't said that word once.
No, I'm not a master tailor.
And like, I know people all the time that just like, they love to like, just slam their resume down the table and say, I do X amount of business and I do this, this, and this. And I'm like, yeah, but
but exactly. And people come in all the time and say they have all this experience and they're looking for a job. And like, none of that even matters. I'll say, okay, come back on this day and, be prepared to spend an hour or two. And, we're going to do a few things. I'll let you show off and show me what you could do.
Yeah.
And, so all the words don't matter at all. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So to wrap up, well, first of all, thank you so much for taking the time. It's a Saturday. You've got probably 1 million people. You've got one pain in the butt customer coming later. For
the listener, that's Matt.
Yes. So for the listener, where are you located? What are some of the things that you offer? And is there anything you want people to know about kind of just supporting a small business?
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. This has been a pleasure and definitely a treat.
Thank you.
I'd be at work, probably sitting on the floor marking somebody's hat if I wasn't here.
That for now.
This is great. So we're located at 817 Grand Avenue in New Haven in the historic Worcester Square district. Close to all the great pizza places. I think small business is where it's at, and never more than now with this talk about the port strikes, global economy is great for what it is, but it's fickle and it's far away, and there's going to be times when you can't get it. But even if you do, it has to be altered a little bit, right? So, and that has to happen here. You can't do that on the other side of the world. Yep. Support your local people, because those are the people in your neighborhood. And we sponsor a little league baseball team and basketball team and everything else. So I think it's important to support the people in your community, and it's also important that we kind of nurture our own industry and help it grow and help each other, because nobody else is doing it. And the FITs and the Parsons,
no one's going to save us except us.
That's right. No one's coming to save us. It's true. It's true. Yeah. We have to do the best we can, and it's becoming more and more important as we realize, if I go on vacation, all these people won't have their clothes done. So, here we are.
It takes a very special type of person to think that.
Yeah. And I want to thank you too, because listening to your podcast and coming here now and watching your videos, Melissa.
Thank you.
And yours, Matt.
Mine are better.
Yeah, exactly. Mine are an afterthought.
They're okay.
I need to find my voice, because I don't do social media. My wife Alicia handles all the social media, and she's great.
That's funny, because you have a great social presence.
She's constantly posting and writing and taking pictures, and I don't do enough of that, and I gotta learn to do that.
Yeah.
And because people want to hear from us, they're passionate and interested about what we do, even though we don't always see it, and I don't always see it, but it's great entertainment.
Yeah.
If not inspiration.
I've actually felt very tied. So that's funny. I obviously didn't know who was doing what with the socials, but that's where I feel like I've connected, seeing your photos, doing measurements and fittings on people. And that's where I have actually felt you guys come full circle into the community, because I think you recently made a suit for one of the chefs. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah.
Heading to the awards, James Beard, right?
Yes.
Stuff like that. So I was like, oh my God, here we are, two cool small business people in the community coming together for this bigger situation. So that's really funny that I feel very connected to you from that. So if I give you any bit of encouragement, it's more of that, please.
Yeah, definitely. I was gonna echo that. It sounds like your voice is be the perpetual learner. Put the viewers of your social media in your position. Here's what
we'll let Alicia do it for you. But
yes, exactly.
Keep it up, Alicia. You're doing great.
Keep it from a learning perspective, because I think there's a tendency for in this industry to be very product facing. Here's the final garment, here's the suit, here's the pant, here's the look. that's not you. That's not your voice. It's the mechanics. That's why people come to you. That's why you've got the windows on the side. That's why you've got the open tailor shop. People want to see, slow it down. So like what's inside. And that could be one little post about opening seams. And here's like the work.
And I need to
doing this.
Personally need to switch from like the perennial student to the teacher, because I don't realize how much I know and how much I can share.
You never know how much you know until you have to teach somebody else, and then damn.
Yes. So and we're all on this journey of like learning and teaching, and I just need to find my voice and start using it. So
I look forward to it.
We're very excited. Enzo, thank you so much. This was such a pleasure.
Thank you.
We're going to tag all your socials so people can follow you, and thank you. And definitely, you only serve men in your store, or?
No, we provide alterations for men and women.
Awesome.
And we sell mostly menswear, but we do have some women's items. We do ladies made to measure suits and blouses and yeah.
All right.
Excellent.
Lovely to know.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Enzo. And thank you, Melissa.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, listener.
Thank you, listener, for joining us on this episode of The Fabric of America.